triangle pose is one of those positions that can create a whole lot of havoc for people with their SI joints and their hips. And there's also lots of conversation about like just how the heck do you cue this thing? And what I like to do is I like to cue it from the perspective of the hips. So you've seen I've got this doweling here. I'm going to show you how I use this in a moment. But when we're looking at triangle, what we're looking at is moving the leg bones on the hip first, right? And you'll see my pelvis does go diagonally with, so I'm not standing between two planes of glass. But the leg bones are doing a lot of movement inside of the pelvis and those hip sockets. And then where I go next is I then move into a pelvis motion on the leg bones. So the leg bones are moving, yes, but it's mostly about the pelvis doing that movement. Now typically what you'll see in a lot of classes is doing something like this, where there's the lateral shifting of the rib cage and then there's a side bend that happens, and you can see there's no movement at all through the pelvis. The only stickling point about doing that, like it's not bad or wrong, but it can contribute to a lot of dysfunction through the SI and in through the lumbar area. So what I would notice for yourself when you're doing it is just notice what it feels like and how it feels in your body when that happens and then that happens, right? And just kind of get a feel if it makes sense for you. And if you have SI joint issues or lumbar issues, then to consider some of another way, right? And it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to retire the position. Okay, so one way to play with that is to take this piece of doweling, it's just a piece of wood, right, just like so, and place it like so. So third eye, nose, pubic bone, right down the center, right? And so I've got myself set up here, and now I move, and I'm keeping those points in one line, yeah? I'm not aligned, I'm not trying to keep them straight, but they are staying straight by nature of this guidance of this piece of doweling, yeah? And so then what becomes interesting to notice is when you're doing this as a total exploration is notice what happens with your knee. A lot of times when people don't move as well as they think they are through this hip, they end up stopping at the hip and then they notice that the knee kicks back, right? And so that becomes really interesting to notice from a feeling perspective what's actually going on in your body. And I find sometimes when we use tools like this, they highlight areas of unawareness, and so those areas of unawareness become aware and become more conscious, and we can then explore and play. Okay, so then here we are again on this side, and now we get to move, right? And so then you get to notice if you start to shorten in through here, and then if your intention is to move from those hips, or if you want to explore moving from those hips, then you can do that action. Okay, so this was picked up at a store called Home Depot, much like Home Hardware, much like many like Rona's and all of that, depending on where you live in the world. Just a basic hardware type store. This is like a broomstick. What I don't love about a broomstick or a hockey stick is that they've got that end, they got the broom part, the sweeping part, and they got the end of the stick, and so it makes it a bit heavier on one side. So it can be a little bit funky doing it that way. But you can always chop it off. But having something that's even the same from the top to the bottom can be really helpful. Okay, so have fun with that. Let me know how it goes. All right, enjoy. Take care.